Welcome to Ask the Funeral Director with Mike Voyajakis. Brought to you by Voyage Funeral Home and Crematorium. Now, here's your host. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Ask the Funeral Director on this Wednesday, October the 16th, as we get closer, heading towards, obviously, Halloween, and then, obviously, Remembrance Day come November and December. Well, you know what that brings on? A whole lot more money to spend, as Christmas is right around the corner. Welcome to tonight's show. We've got a lot to get to. Mike is here and standing by. He's got some great videos that he brought with him tonight that we're going to get into and discuss. We've got lots of great questions as well on the show. There's a lot to come, so please stay right there. We'll be back with more right after this. At the Cork and Flame, we're always cooking and ready with the finest for all our customers any time of day or night. From breakfast brunch to lunch and dinner, steak and seafood to ribs and more. The Cork and Flame Fine Dining. Always fresh, with fabulous desserts and a narration of the urban landscape. Plus, a passion for quality food. Eat, drink, chill. Cork and Flame, 3106 Portage Avenue. There's no hurry, so sit back and relax. Welcome back. Well, Mike, here we are. It's Halloween, almost.
Unforgettable, that's what you are.
Why are you singing?
I was in a good mood tonight. I thought I'd start off with a song.
Okay.
And who's this? Looks like somebody that I buried a long, long time ago.
Hey, I kill you.
I kill you back. You're talking to me like that.
Tell you what, he doesn't look like you did a good job, Mike.
Yeah, of course. That's after years of being in the ground and decomposing, and that's what he's supposed to look like. A funeral director did his job right when you see no skin left on the body. There you go.
Nothing but meat, no meat, all bones.
Oh, I'm going to say hello to some people. Guess what? Gord is usually the first one on the show, but Steve Page
Beat him to it.
beat him to it tonight. Number one on the show. And he says, good evening, everyone, from Steve Page. And, of course, Gord in second place. Hello, Mike, Brad from Winnipeg.
Vicky Moore says hi from Nova Scotia. We've got Sue Cridland. Good evening, Mike and Brad. Good to have you here, Sue.
Debbie McKenzie. Hey, Debbie. Teresa Thiessen.
Terry.
Terry Thiessen. Oh, sorry.
All the way from southern Alberta, Tabor area.
Dan Ross from Ross, Manitoba. Can't forget that one. Barb Green.
Janet Larson.
Debbie Lamoureux.
That's right.
Hi, Mike and Brad. Happy Hump Day from Dorothy?
West K.
West K. There we go. Dorothy, hello from Langley, BC.
Fernridge, Langley, yeah.
Look at that, eh? Al Bueller's on the show tonight. Hello, Mike Voyajakis, Brad Wilder, and everyone else. What should we name our friend here?
No, it's a great question. Maybe
that's
we
the
can get
big
everybody
question.
to kind of chime in here on the chat and tell us what we should name it.
Yeah. Freddie, good evening, Mike. Brad watching from Washington State, of course. Didn't you say something like you didn't want to live in Washington State? Why is that?
Because you'll end up looking like this guy. Washington State's a scary place.
Freddie, I'm sorry that Brad is putting down Washington. He shouldn't be doing that.
We're not talking about Washington, D.C. We're talking about Washington next to Oregon, which, it's like Seattle. All that's a mess.
Susan Alec, I'm Mike Brad from Susan and Wayne Alec. And to everyone else. Well, there's a lot of people watching tonight.
There is. We've got a lot on so far.
Terry Goods on the show. Hey, Terry, it's about time that you watch the show. Kevin Sigerson is on. Dusty is a good name. Hey, Dusty.
Yep, Dusty.
Nothing like Dusty. Look, dust him off. Look at all that dust coming off of him. He's got hey, Dusty, what's going on? Katie B, good evening, fellas. Good evening, Katie.
You were doing a musical interlude before. What made you decide you wanted to sing on the show today?
I don't know. Unforgettable. That's what you are. You know, I had a really good Thanksgiving. The best part about Born to be alive.
Born to be alive. If I was born
Even Dusty's singing.
born to be alive.
I was having fun there. I don't know why you shut it off. People were enjoying the music.
I didn't.
It reminds
It
me
just
of the
ends.
Howdy Doody show. Anyways, I was saying I had a really, hopefully everyone had a good Thanksgiving with family and friends and whoever you hung out with that day. But, you don't realize how important family is until you lose a family member. And after everyone left the house, my brother Pete's house where we went for Thanksgiving, it was just me, Nick, and Pete, three brothers, to just hang out for an hour together. We hung out for an hour together, and I really enjoyed that. So thanks, Nick and Pete, just for hanging out for an hour and doing the brotherly thing, just loving each other. Because you never know, what are you doing with Dusty? Dusty's coming to get me. That's funny.
Okay, so LeBrokery's in the house watching from work. Nikki Sunshine. Nikki, get back to work.
Yeah, Nikki, get back to work.
It's your boss paying you to watch us. Oh, too funny. So you got some videos you brought with you tonight, Mike. What do you got?
Oh, we got a whole bunch of videos. We're going to play but we're not going to play them all. We're just going to play bits and pieces of videos and talk about them. Talk about them.
Tell everyone about them.
Tell everybody about them. What's going on? What the video's all about.
Okay, so what's this first one about? Let's talk about that.
So why don't we play it and then we'll talk about it?
Only because you said so.
What do you think?
Well, I agree.
Brad's in the controls, and the comment section is
I'm
on
trying.
fire.
That's good. We're still looking for that name. Dusty was an okay one. We'll see if we get something. a
I
little
like
better
Dusty.
yet.
I think that was a great name. Great name he picked out. You almost ready with that first video? Or
No,
should I-
I'm actually not. But
You.
you could talk. There's lots for you to say.
So I want to talk about the big Christmas food drive that we're going to do on December 24th. That's the date. That's the date my brother did it at the Cork and Flame every year. And what he does is he feeds families that just don't have food on Christmas and are struggling, and we reach out and help them. And Kyriakis made it a tradition. I think he's done it for about 5 years now, or 4 years, or something like that. So I decided to keep that tradition up. So on the 24th, we're going to need a few things. We're going to start at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So what happens that day is families have phoned in beforehand.
Right.
We advertise in the local papers, the news, the media. And those families that are struggling to put food on their table that day, the Cork and Flame delivers a meal for each family member to the house. What we need that day is delivery drivers. We need delivery drivers to actually deliver the food. We start at 1 o'clock. We hopefully are done by 5 so we can be with our families on Christmas Eve. So December 24th, something else Kyriakis was doing every year is you could drop off a toy for a boy or a girl at the Cork and Flame, and we have a big Christmas tree that goes up, and then you could put that toy wrapped up or unwrapped under the Christmas tree. And then what we do for those families in need is we also bring them on top of their meals. We bring a couple gifts out for the kids.
Oh yeah.
So ahead of the time, we find out if it's a boy or a girl that's at the house, and then what we do is we bring out a gift and food for the family. So
Sure.
it's a really nice gesture that Kyriakis did, and it's something that we want to keep up.
Well, I can't blame you for that. That's a really
So if
nice
you want to
gesture.
help the day before, help wrap some toys and some gifts for those kids who are less fortunate and don't have every kid should have a gift under the Christmas tree. I mean, the real reason of Christmas is different, but we were given the biggest gift ever on Christmas. So we want to give back to those children that need gifts on Christmas so they can open up something and be happy and have a good meal.
It's been a tough few years for a lot of people.
It's been a tough few years, and I think this year is really, really tough.
Look, home bank.
Katie says, I would love to drop off a few gifts. So, Katie, what you're doing is dropping off gifts and food.
Yeah.
So if a family has 3 children, we'll make sure each one of them gets a gift, or maybe 2, depending on how many we get. And there's lots of ways that you could do this. We want to make Christmas magical. That's Remedy Max used that just now. But we want to make Christmas magical for every child and every family. Nobody should go without food, and no child should go without some special gift that they can open up and just get that Christmas spirit in their hearts. So we would love your help, especially people who watch the show. The Cork and Flame is in St. James, and this is in memory of my brother. It's something I wanted to do for my heart because it's something he truly believed in. He truly believed in giving and helping and being caring and compassionate to others in need, and we want to do that this Christmas. So something else I want to talk about quickly before, or do you want to go to a video? Do you got a video?
I'm ready.
Okay, well, let's do the video, and we'll come back and talk about whatever.
Oh, by the way, I've cracked the code. I figured out the shadow organizations and the Illuminati know that they're finally primed for world domination. And soon you've got black helicopters coming across the border, puppet masters for the New World Order. Be aware, there's always someone that's watching you, and still the government won't admit they faked a whole moon landing. Thought control, race, psychotronic scanning, don't mind that. I'm protected cause I made this hat from aluminum foil, where it had this foil line in case an alien's inclined to probe your butt or read your mind. Looks a bit peculiar, seems a little crazy, but someday I'll prove there's a big conspiracy.
Weird Al Yankovic.
And that was 5 years ago, folks.
Yep.
5 years ago, Weird
Before any
Al-
of this started.
Yeah, before any of this started, he predicted it. Maybe he's the one writing the Simpsons
Oh, he
episodes.
could be definitely involved there. Who knows? He's had a lot of hits over the course of time, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's done a lot of hits.
They're special hits. but
Before
they're
we go
hits.
any further, we're being, I hate to say this word, but throttle down.
Yeah. SB.
So a lot of people are saying they're not getting notifications before the show. They can't find us. We're on 5 different
The
channels.
easiest way to find us is Ask
Ask
the
the
Funeral
Funeral
Director.
Director.
Period. All one word.
Yeah, one word.
All one word.
But we're on Rumble. We're on
BitChute,
we're on X. We're
Rumble,
on,
Twitter.
BitChute. What's
No,
BitChute?
not BitChute.
Twitter.
Rumble, Twitter.
Facebook.
X.
Anyways, you can find us on
Yeah,
X.
we're there. We're
We're
everywhere.
there.
YouTube.
We're everywhere.
We're trying to stay on
We
all
want to
these
be in your
platforms.
living room. So do us a favor, would you? Please like, share, and follow the show. It's really important to us. We love you guys. We love putting on this show. And most of all, we like to see all the comments and all the people that join us every Wednesday night for another episode of Ask the Funeral Director. Right, Brad?
All right. So what did you think of the Weird Al Yankovic?
I think Weird Al is pretty weird. But he did. Did you just. He just moved his mouth.
He did.
Something's
He has
going
powers.
on. Dusty moved his mouth.
Special powers.
So we're going to talk about Pierre, our next prime minister, and his mic drop in House of Parliament. And basically they're trying to shut Pierre up. And he just won't shut up. He just fights back and says what needs to be said. And hopefully we get rid of that Trudeau guy. And maybe this guy will make some change in Canada. Because everyone knows we
Right.
need change in Canada.
I was going to say, there's no maybe. This has to happen.
We never know.
Somehow, some way.
We were talking about this earlier. Everything is fixed these days. Are they going to somehow find a way? I mean, you know it and I know it. Everyone knows it. I mean, the comment section will light up. Nobody wants Trudeau to continue as the Prime Minister of Canada. He's made a fool of us. Every place in the world talks about Canada. I talked to a friend of mine in Greece the other day on Facebook, and he was laughing at us, saying, you guys are living in a 100% communist country.
Well, we are, yeah.
Unbelievable. Daryl Inkster says he's no different. Well, Daryl, I think I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one because I think Pierre's going to.
Uh-oh.
I
Okay,
think-
Daryl, feel free. You just
Daryl,
gotta
aren't you
let-
supposed to be
maybe-
sleeping?
Daryl, maybe that's going to be a conversation on another platform at another time and not right here, right now. But you know what?
Oh no, he can say what he wants. Go ahead.
Oh, I
Daryl.
know he can say what he wants. I just don't want to have
No,
to spend
no,
another half an
one,
hour on it.
Susan. Oh boy. Anyways, we're going to play
They're
this.
right. They're right. I agree with them. I think we're going to have to split our opinions
Well,
there
listen,
'cause
can
I'm
you-
on their side at this point.
Can you find anyone better? Because
Well, that's the
there's only
point.
2 people running.
Mike Voyajakis for Prime Minister?
Yeah.
We're really getting off, eh? I mean,
They're all-
Premier.
Yeah, I know, I'm just all over the
Premier,
place.
and now Prime Minister.
Hey, look, it's Kathy Tickle. I don't receive notifications when you come on live. See? That's why you got to share and follow the show so you get notifications. Anyways, we're going to play a bit of this video, not all of it. And here we go for all the people that love Pierre.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we're gonna talk until this video comes on. So anyway, something else I want to talk about while we're doing this. What's somebody say here? Susan says, Mike Voyajakis is Prime Minister. Let the people choose. I only wish I could be Prime Minister. What a difference I would make in Canada. Everyone would want to move here because it would be people first.
Housing costs are 2 million people at the food bank because the government is refusing to respect your ruling to turn over evidence in the criminal investigation of the latest Liberal scandal. At issue is that Liberal appointees directed $400 million to companies they own involving 184 conflicts of interest according to the Auditor General. Why is the Prime Minister breaking your ruling to cover up criminal evidence in the latest Liberal scandal?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, the Leader of the Opposition is negating to tell the whole truth to Canadians, because what the Conservatives are doing are trying to use the extraordinary powers of this place to circumvent the judicial requirement of police to protect the charter rights of Canadians. Now, I want to believe that the Leader of the Opposition doesn't understand what he's doing, but I'm even more concerned that he does understand, and the charter rights of Canadians are not important to him.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
It should be no surprise that Liberals believe that white-collar criminals can hand over $400 million to their own companies, because we see the case of the dirtbag Tibor Organo, who shot a police officer in the stomach yesterday while he was out on bail after having been arrested for 24 offenses he committed while he was out on probation. So let's get this straight. He's out on probation for many crimes. He gets arrested for violating probation, so he gets released on bail and shoots a police officer. When will this government finally accept that their hug-a-thug, catch-and-release system is putting our people at risk?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our hearts go out to the police officer, because no police officer should be hurt in the line of duty. But, Mr. Speaker, what is extremely concerning is what the Leader of the Opposition is doing in this House today, where he is trampling the charter rights of Canadians. Whether it is in this House, whether it is outside, Canadians need to be extremely alarmed about the fact that when it comes to their rights, his first instinct is to trample over them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
I think you have a charter right to get released after 24 offenses while you're already on probation and shoot a police officer in the stomach. I'm more worried about the charter rights of the police officer who's recovering from the gunshot. This is what the police officer said. Almost everyone we arrest is out on bail. No one stays in jail where they belong. The city and the feds just don't care. It just doesn't bother them. It doesn't matter how many die and if a cop gets shot.
That's right.
What's wrong with you people?
I don't know. You know what?
There you go.
I like Pierre, and Brad and I had a little back and forth in between here, and well, we'll just keep it at that.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot to discuss there, and some of it's being done in the chat room right now, and you might get a little bit of education on your later day here tomorrow or the next day when you get a chance.
Listen, we're going to
to
find out in the future what's what, right?
We are.
And
At some
we
point
definitely
there
need change.
There has to be an election at some point, so that's...
We definitely need change. And
that's something
Trudeau
we can
cannot
agree on.
continue on, so we don't have a difference.
There's
here.
not
It's
a lot
just
of
the way it
options
is.
anyway moving forward as it stands right now.
I think Pierre's been going after Trudeau for a long time in the House of Commons.
Absolutely he has.
And at one point he had no interest in running in for Prime Minister.
Same thing with Danielle Smith. Okay, same thing. But those guys should have been out of jail from the Coots the Coots issue. They should have been set free. She should have dealt with all that. She didn't. She backed down to Trudeau. How much is Pierre going to back down? How much are we just going to continue in this path?
I think Pierre's going to fight the good
Justin
fight.
has said last week.
Just saying.
Justin has said last week that he actually is going to lead the Liberal Party into the next election.
Yeah, I know. I heard him say
and
that.
What a clown!
Al Bueller says he's corrupt. Oh wait, they're all corrupt.
They're all corrupt. That's the point. That's what we were talking about earlier, and we both agreed on that point. So,
Yeah. Well,
they've all got their yeses and their nos, and their.
I mean, until you get the right person in here who's going to stand up for the people and make a difference. I guess it'll be the same old. But all I know is we got to get Trudeau out of there. We got to get him out now. I'd like to welcome Christina to the show, who asked the question last week that we're going to answer today. And I had to do some research on that question because I didn't know the answer. But now I do. And now I can put that answer to good use. Are we ready for another video, or do you want me to talk in the background here? We'll see what Brad's got cooking on the oven here. Oh, this is good. This is good.
Yeah, this is yummy.
This is yummy. You people are going to love that. If you're having food right now, I suggest you put your food away because this may turn your stomach just a touch. But until we do that, I just want to let you know, too, I'd really like you to take part in this. It's going to be a big, huge event, January 24th. That's the day my brother Kyriakis was killed in the parking lot of the Cork and Flame. It's 7 p.m. We're going to be fighting back. It's going to be a candlelight service celebrating his life, but not only his life, anyone who's been attacked by the justice system, the catch and release program. We need to get together and fight this. I promised a year ago when I talked at my brother's candlelight service that I will not give up and I will not stop until things change. We need to fight back. This catch and release system is making Manitoba a terrible place. It is really, really scary to be downtown. It's scary to be anywhere in the city of Winnipeg, province of Manitoba. We need to make change. It's the catch and release program that's doing this. And if we don't fight back, and if we don't get together in large, large numbers, I anticipate a huge, huge group. There was, I think, 400 people at the candlelight service last year. Maybe we could get, a few thousand out there to make a difference. I know the sun will be there, the media will be there, but come on, people, it's time to get off our chairs, get out, even if it's a little bit cold, hold a candle, and fight back against the justice system and people that are victims of crimes. You may have been a victim of a crime. You may be a victim of a crime in the future if we don't change the system. Look, police officers are all over the place. On Saturday in the Winnipeg Free Press, they were talking about how frustrated the police are. They arrest somebody and they're back out in the street the very next day. And it's happening over and over and over again. Our police officers are tired. They're overworked. They're going into very dangerous situations. And I'm not standing up for all police officers because some police officers are just not meant to be police officers. But for the ones that work hard and go out and put their lives at risk every single day to arrest some of these criminals, especially people who've murdered and have committed crimes of violence that is just unacceptable in this world, those people should stay behind bars. And for the judges, allowing these people to go back on the streets, you need to wake up. You really need to wake up and see what's going on, how many people are injured, what it's doing to our system, what it's doing to mental health, what it's doing to violence, what it's doing to crime in the city. It's completely out of control. And until you, the people, stand up and say enough's enough, it's going to keep on happening. And yes, the miners have a lot to do with it. So we need to clamp down on the miners. We need to clamp down on anyone who's committing crimes in the city should not be out on the streets the very next day. Whatever happened to if you do the crime, you got to do the time. Whatever happened to that?
Great question. Seems as
the
though
skeleton's moving behind me as I'm talking. I think the skeleton is agreeing with me, Kathy.
All right, ready for this next video?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Than we can even count, but summer critters can bring some culinary joy to all our lives if we just take time to indulge. Welcome back, Edible Insect Ambassador Chef Joseph Yoon.
Hi, Kelly.
That's enough. That's enough.
So this is what we're going to be doing in the future. They want us to eat bugs, grasshoppers, all the things that they're going to talk about here. And then they bring out celebrities to try to make it look
okay.
good.
It's okay to eat
It's
the
okay.
bugs.
We can eat bugs. I'm looking forward to eating bugs. I mean, what's the biggest bug that you're trying to push? Do you know?
Well, we've got cockroach milk.
Cockroach milk. Oh,
yeah,
my God.
That's a true story. They're adding
Grasshoppers. But anyways, play a little bit of this and just let the people watch and see how gross this is. But Kelly and her husband are going along with it.
What
you know
are we
what I
doing
say?
today?
When you find those flies in the kitchen, don't kill them, just
eat 'em.
Eat them.
Well, to be honest, the really
important thing about this is that we're not just taking random bugs, but these are farmed or harvested specifically for human consumption.
I see.
Okay,
that's very
Yeah,
important.
all joking aside on
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Yes.
But it really is super special to be here, guys. Thanks for your willingness
We
to
love
have me back
having you
here.
here.
Yeah, all right.
What are we starting with?
Okay, so to start off, we have black ants.
Okay.
Okay.
And it has formic acid, which has a very beautiful lemony flavor. We already added it in
it's
the
in.
butter,
Oh.
but you could spread it out a little bit if
And
you
what
want.
else is in the butter?
And radish compound butter. And it's
Okay.
just such a beautiful flavor that I think it's like a really exquisite and sublime.
It's nice.
It's nice.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thanks for your... It's almost
oh
like
my
Pop
gosh.
Rocks, right?
Yeah.
It's like got this beautiful citrusy flavor.
Just
It
like
is like
Pop Rock.
caviar.
Yeah. I would say it's better than caviar.
Amazing.
I'm going there. What about the
Yeah.
nutritional value? What's happening with that?
All right.
Well, so
Wait, now I
there
gotta
are
try.
over 2,000 species of edible insects, and they have like varying nutritional profiles. But in general, if we take crickets, kind of like the gateway, they have all 9 essential amino acids. They're 50 to 80% protein by weight. Have vitamin B12, omega-3 and 6. They have potassium, calcium. I mean, they're really an incredibly nutrient.
Yeah, that's why birds are like, I know that.
Yeah, right.
Right.
That's why I can fly
Exactly.
so high.
Well, let's take a look at the next. Oh, sorry.
I'm not
So this
eating
one,
that.
this one we're passing, but this is for Kelly. This is a mealworm hummus.
Okay.
And we ground up the mealworms.
It's in the hummus already?
It's in the hummus already. This is just so you could see it.
Can I eat one of the mealworms?
Yeah, you're certainly welcome to try the mealworms.
See, there's something wrong with
It's
it.
still moving.
They're not. I mean, they're really easy. They're quite just a delicious, I
delicious.
think, and I think that's like one of the really big things that I love to share. How delicious we can actually prepare.
No.
How we could prepare edible insects.
That's delicious.
I had a pet
A pet lizard.
lizard
right?
as a kid. And this is what we fed them, only
Yeah.
they were alive, and I didn't like it,
All
and
right.
so I
Okay.
don't.
What's next?
So, because I'm such a big fan of yours, and knowing that you honeymooned in Italy,
Yes.
I thought about cricket, spaghetti, and cricket meatballs.
Okay,
And
where's the
so
cricket? It's
the
all
crickets
in?
are in the marinara,
Okay.
in the sauce,
it's
and
cricket, not
also
cricket.
in the meatballs as well. And so,
Amazing.
I'm just saying, you know who likes to eat bugs, Mike?
Bugs Bunny.
Lizards. Just saying. Just saying. When you
Oh my
take
God, I can't believe they're actually pushing. But you believe it or not, they've opened up more bug factories than anything else. There's bug factories everywhere. There's bug factories here in Manitoba. I think there's 3 of them here
There
in
is,
Manitoba.
yep.
And they're huge bug factories. So in the future, I mean, even when you go to Superstore now, or you go to one of your, wherever you shop for your groceries, read the labels, because you're probably eating bugs and you probably don't even know it yet. That will be the day. What do you think, Brad? Did that those worms look pretty inviting?
No, I'm not going to participate in any of that. Klaus can eat them. I'm still going to try to eat steak as much as I possibly can.
Even our steak and stuff like that. I was watching a reality show the other day that's on the
I
internet.
kind of agree with Brenda. I'll starve before I eat bugs. The human stomach can't properly digest it. You're correct,
course
unless
not,
you're
yeah.
from a different country.
Yeah.
A lot of people in other foreign countries can handle that, but unfortunately we cannot.
But listen, you need to know this. The reason we push and we fight so hard, this is about the 2030 reset. Complete control of what we do. And once they take all our food off the shelves and put food on there that has bugs in it, they kind of force you to eat whatever you have at the grocery store. Otherwise, you're going to starve.
All owned by BlackRock. Don't forget that. About BlackRock, Vanguard, look it up. It's all there. We're not making this up, and we've done our homework already. So
Yeah, this is crickets are the biggest thing out there, and it's really scary. And this is why I say we need to fight hard. We need to fight back. This is for our kids and our grandkids and their future. Because guess what? If we don't fight now, when we're sitting back on our rocking chairs one day, watching what they've done to our younger generation, we're going to be disgusted with ourselves. and we're going to say we should have got off our chairs, we should have went and fought, our voices should have been heard. But no, what happens is we sit back and then we allow the government to do what they want. But if we went out in the streets in the hundreds of thousands like they do in some European countries, this would not happen. We need to fight back. The people have the power. We need to realize that. We, the people, have the power. But we don't use the power. So we have one person, like Justin Trudeau, controlling all of Canada, yet there's, how many people in Canada alone? Anyone know?
I don't know.
Who knows how many people there is in Canada? But think, if every city went out to the streets and completely closed down everything that moved, you think he'd get the message? That we're not interested in your bugs. We're not interested in you taking away our money. We're not interested in digital ID. We're not interested in any of that garbage. We just want to live life the way it is. And there's nothing wrong with the life we're living other than what you've created, complete chaos in our streets. And I truly think 41 million people in Canada. And when we have a rally, 100 people show up. The same 100 people that always show up. Does that tell you that there's a problem? Does that tell you that we just don't care? People, we need to start caring. What you're seeing is reality. What you're seeing is the truth, what's happening behind the scenes, and what they're forcing us to do in the future. So come on, get off your chairs and get out there and make a difference. You could start by doing that on the 24th, where we have that huge candlelight candlelight service at the Cork and Flame, fighting back and making a difference.
All right, next video. Let's move on because we got a lot to get to yet. So let's get this one in and done. Here we go.
Are you scared of dying?
I'm not scared about dying. I'm scared about leaving my family. The idea of not being there for my son when he needs me or being there for my wife, that's what scares me. I'm Brian Hill.
My name is Layla.
JJ Singleton.
JJ, how old are you?
I'm 34.
Do you know why you're here today, what we're talking about?
We're going to talk about death and having a chronic condition that limits my life.
Just kind of out of nowhere, my kidneys failed and ended up in the hospital with end-stage renal disease.
6 years ago, I was diagnosed with a colon cancer, and a year later, it came back and spread throughout my body, and they told me it was a terminal diagnosis and incurable.
Are you dying?
Yes.
I would say yes.
So Parkinson's, it doesn't kill you, but the symptoms of it can lead to earlier death.
When did you first find out?
I was at 27 years old. I was going to college and started losing my vision, going blind, and that's when I ended up in the hospital. And by that point, I had about 5% function left in my kidneys, and then was really, really lucky and had a transplant, and was doing really well, and then unfortunately started rejecting.
Well, I continue to fight, get chemo treatments.
But why get the chemo treatment?
Because I'm not ready to die yet. There's a lot left to do, and a lot of people I believe I can help.
When you first found out that you had Parkinson's, how did it feel in that moment?
It's a heavy question. I think leading up to my diagnosis, I knew I had Parkinson's. My mom had it, and the moment I was diagnosed, it was almost a relief. As weird as that sounds, knowing what's going on with your body is better than not knowing.
I was losing an extreme amount of weight. I couldn't use the bathroom. And then at the end, my skin was turning gray is when my mom made me go to the doctor.
When you found out, were you angry?
It's like a sense of desperation, or it was kind of just like a freeze, you know. It was that disassociation of like, how could this be happening to me? I'm young, I'm supposed to have my whole life ahead of me, and you know, if I didn't go into the hospital, I think when I did, I may have not lasted more than like another week.
There are times where I'm very angry, and that anger it's terrifying. It's so terrifying I push it away. Yeah.
Is that good to push it away?
No, it's not. And as you can see, as we're talking, I'm becoming more dyskinetic because that stress from the anger is coming up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's good.
Do you feel like you're dying?
Some days I really do. Like some days my body feels like it's just rejecting and falling apart. That's the days where I really feel like it's still controlling my life and don't have that much time left.
My body is working really, really hard just to keep up with the normalcy of what life is.
What does it feel like?
Closest way I can describe it as the worst your body's ever felt after like a physical activity, mix it with having the worst flu you've ever had, and that's just the very tip of the iceberg.
Dude, it feels like shit. So, like if you work out real hard and the next day you wake up and you're achy, it's like that times almost 100.
Over the last 7 years, I've had many bouts of wanting to give up. At one point, I was very close to calling it quits and just committing suicide. And luckily, I had some very good friends that helped me see that I do have a purpose. But even still, with family and friends helping me, there's days where it's like, don't know if this life is worth it sometimes.
Do you feel like you live your life differently now?
Yes. I do not take things for granted. I try to live in the moment.
I try to look at it as a blessing and knowing that I was given a lens to look in through different than most.
I don't take the little things for granted, like such as getting up to pick up my son. Those moments when I'm able to do that, I appreciate them so much more.
Has it affected your sex life?
When I was on dialysis, it did, because your kidneys are kind of part of your sexual chi. I'd say now it hasn't at all. And I tell them, that I'm immunosuppressed and that, we just need to be really careful. I make sure that they get tested.
How has cancer affected your sex life?
Very, very much so. Like, is virtually non-existent. So there's stages where it's just like, it don't enter my mind at all for weeks.
It takes a little bit more thought process, like, hey, we're gonna do it in an hour, take your medication.
Which makes it so romantic.
Oh yeah. Like, hey, baby.
Well, that's one of those videos that's kind of heartbreaking, Mike.
The big question is, and I ask this to you, our viewers, are you ready to die? It's a real tough question, because how do you face death, and how do you feel knowing you're going to leave your family members behind and your kids, and are we prepared to die? And that's what a show like this is all about, is teaching you how to be prepared. I never thought I'd lose my brother at 51, gone just like that, and I'm sure he didn't think he'd leave the world that early. We all have a purpose in life, and sometimes I think when you serve your purpose, life's almost done sometimes. But we all have a purpose, and we can't give up. We got to keep fighting. But at the same time, we also need to prepare for death. How do you prepare for death? That's another show altogether, and it's a very interesting question. And it's a long, long answer on how to prepare for death. And Brad, I'd ask you, are you ready to die?
Well, is anybody ready to die? I mean, hey, if it happens, it happens.
There's the question, right?
Hope I'm doing something fun if it happens, That's all. I don't want to die with tubes. I don't want to die in a hospital. I don't want to die in their, hospice care or whatever they call it. I'm not interested.
And I think about that all the time. I think we talked about
Jump off a mountain.
Jump off a mountain. Pretend you have a parachute on.
I'm going to jump out of that perfectly good airplane.
Oh, that's funny. I think about that all the time as I work with families that are dying, and it makes you think about your own mortality a lot. And then you think, when do you want to die? And I always say simply, when I can't take care of myself anymore. I don't want somebody changing my diapers. I don't want to be dependent on somebody else. I want to live as long as I can live and be healthy and make a difference in this world. And I guess when God takes me home, he'll take me home, just like he did with this one. And I think that's when you're ready to die, when you're ready to meet your maker. But I think you got to know and prepare about where you're going to go and what's going to happen after life and what's death all about. It seems like Dusty here has been through it already.
He's definitely gone around the old coffin.
Let's get to some... we want to talk about one more thing before we get into some questions.
The election coming up?
Kamala.
The election?
Kamala. So Kamala did an interview today. We're not going to... I don't think
I blew it already. I put it away.
Okay, so she
did.
Did
we got 20 days before the big election.
20 days.
We're going to be back on next week. Maybe we'll save that.
And here's
for
what
next
she's saying, just so you know. Kamala is saying that it's Donald Trump's fault because he had the borders closed. And don't forget, when Donald Trump started building that wall to keep immigrants out illegally, they took the wall down. And they said, just come on in. And they allowed people to walk through the borders. Now in the United States of America, they have chaos, complete chaos on their streets. And now they're saying, get these immigrants, illegal immigrants, out of here. And who could do that?
Are they immigrants if they haven't really gone through the immigration process? I'm just saying.
But you know what it seems like? It seems like you could walk across the border. You know, us as Canadian citizens, if we try to go into the U.S., they harass you like crazy, pretty much make you take off your pants, take off your shoes, take off your belts, because you're a criminal going into the United States, even coming back to Canada. But then they allow these immigrants, or migrants, I guess you can call them, right into, the country, and then they give them a place to stay, and they give them refugee here.
You make it sound as though it's only happening there. It's happening all across North America.
I know, but I'm just saying, the election is going to be a big part of what's going to happen.
And Daryl Inkster's right, invaders.
It is invaders.
We're talking a lot of men, and military-age men.
That's because they got a plan. And
I know they've got a plan.
The plan is clear. Like people who are wide awake.
Written in the Bible, isn't it? You reminded me of that, didn't you?
It's written in the Bible. People that are wide awake can actually see what's going on. So wake up, look around, see your surroundings.
Do a little bit of research.
A little
bit.
And then you'll realize what's going on and why so many single men are coming in to all these countries and invading everything we've ever worked for.
The Venezuela gangs have already moved into Colorado. They're already taking over apartment complexes by the dozens.
I agree. I mean, it's terrible what's happening. So do you think Trump can make a difference? I do. I think Donald Trump is the difference. And hopefully in 20 days, he's elected and finally left alone to do what he needs to do. And that's to put that wall back up, close those borders, get rid of those illegal invaders, and start over again. It's going to be tough for him to do because I'm sure they're going to hide everywhere. Not easy to find.
It's going to be okay. We're going to be able to get those individuals deported at some point, whether it's here in Canada or in the United States. I actually saw a video last week out of Surrey, British Columbia. The CBSA was out in the streets, and it was immigration, and they were looking and checking on individuals who were part of that Surrey, I'm going to say East Indian or Indian get-together that they had on the streets, and that caused CBSA to get out there and do their jobs for once. So I got to commend them for that. I mean, thank you very much for looking out for Canadians.
And that's what we need to do more, is look out for Canadians. Let's be proud Canadians, stand up for what's right, and don't put up with the bullshit. And there's lots of it that comes our way. Open your eyes, and you will be awake. And for those people that are awake, they know exactly what's happening and what's going down and how it's going down. And if we don't put a stop to it, soon we may be homeless.
All right, question number 1 tonight comes from Cabela.
I want to talk about that funeral director first. We need to talk about, the thing I sent you or you sent yourself.
There's that story. Yeah. Okay, if you want to do that one too tonight.
So you need to hear about this Australian funeral director who said deaths have gone up 700%.
Yeah.
A 700% spike in deaths in fully vaccinated towns in Australia. So Brad's going to do his thing.
We'll go through it right here. Okay, so fully vaccinated Australian towns are experiencing a 700% spike in deaths since the COVID vaccine rollout, according to an Australian funeral director. The extraordinary surge in deaths has led to many towns constructing cold body storage facilities in order to process the corpses of the vaccinated. On October the 11th, a special council meeting was held in Port Hedland, Western Australia, where Councillor Adrian McRae outlined the urgency of the gathering. My own company, GDTK, here in Hedland, has just finished the construction of a cold body storage facility here in Wedgefield, an industrial area north part of Hedland, in the north part. Since when did Port Hedland need to have an extra cold body storage facility, he asks. I spoke with the company owners who they built it for, a local funeral director. They told him that in 2020, at the height of COVID, they were doing an average of 1 funeral a week. 1, that's it. Since the injection rollout, they're now doing over 1 funeral a day. So that's gone up. That's almost a 7-fold increase, and it's frightening. And as that happens, Western Australia Council is starting to discuss a few things here. One of them being that the withdrawal of mRNA COVID vaccines in Australia altogether. Now, this snip of the meeting that we've got on video here, and we'll maybe post that a little later in the chat, and you can take a look at your convenience, is, well, a meeting that shares a local anecdote of an unprecedented 700% increase in deaths in the local area since the rollout of COVID vaccines, as mentioned. So that's kind of what's going on in Australia. But during the special meeting, a motion was passed urging the immediate suspension of Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines.
Oh, wait, what did you say?
Absolutely. During the special meeting, a motion was passed urging immediate suspension of Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines.
And that's in Australia. And
Correct.
Australia was pushing the vaccines big
heavy
time.
Yeah, big time.
As a matter of fact, I think Australia was one of the first who pushed the vaccine as hard as they possibly could.
That's right. And the council's decision was driven by findings presented by Dr. David Spiker, a Canadian molecular biologist and epidemiologist who raised concerns about the discovery of SV40, or simian virus 40, DNA sequences in the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. Now, according to Dr. Spiker, SV40 is a virus previously linked to cancer risks, which was first identified in contaminated polio vaccines in the 50s and 60s. Now, the presence of the SV40 DNA in current COVID-19 vaccines, he argued, necessitates immediate precautionary action. The council's motion not only called for the suspension of the vaccines, but also requested several follow-up actions, including a letter to the Prime Minister of Australia urging for the immediate halt of Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, notification to all healthcare practitioners in Port Hedland to inform patients about the alleged vaccine contamination and ensure that they're given informed consent regarding vaccination. And finally, a request to other local governments across Western Australia to take similar actions based on these findings. The council also tasked its chief executive with sending letters to Western Australia's Health Minister, Amber Jade Sanderson, and Commonwealth Minister Mark Butler, seeking their public response to Dr. Spiker's claims. Federal MP Russ Broadbent supported Dr. Spiker's findings through letters to the council, further adding weight to the concerns raised during the meeting. However, not all officials shared this council's sense of urgency. Western Australia Premier Roger Cook criticized the motion, accusing the council claims and unverified claims, and described their actions as going off the rails. So you've always got somebody
who's
fighting
saying
the other
you're
side.
going off the rails.
Yeah, you're always going
You're
the other side,
off
right?
the tracks. So way back when we started this whole COVID thing, I came out as a funeral director saying, look, something is wrong. They were telling you the hospitals were full. The hospitals were actually empty. They were telling you there was tons of deaths. They were wrong. They were lying to you. They used media. They used papers. They used whatever they can to tell you a lie, a big, big lie. So myself as a funeral director came out and talked about what was really going on. And I can tell you now what's going on. And now other funeral directors are finally coming out and saying, wow, we have a problem, a 700% increase in deaths. Okay, let's get to some questions for Ask the Funeral Director. Maybe skip the first couple, Brad, and we'll go into...
Is that what we should do?
Yeah, because we did a lot of videos tonight.
We have done
We did a lot of videos tonight. Hey, don't forget to like, share, and follow the show. We are being censored, and we need people to watch, and we need the show to get bigger, and we want to have more fun, and we want more viewers. That's the bottom line. And we want more followers, and that's the bottom line. Not because we need followers, but because people can watch the show more.
Okay, how does cremation different from burial? Amanda wants to know.
So, Amanda, it's funny, I ask myself that question all the time because we do a burial and families come in all the time and say, what's the difference if we cremate somebody or if we bury somebody? The bottom line is, let's just say 10 years later, if you're buried, the difference is it's exactly the same as cremation, other than cremation is using flame and heat and fire, and burial's using the natural surroundings, water, dirt, and sun and and cold. And basically at the end, what you get is the skeletal system,
Which we've got right here.
which we got right here, by the way.
And I guess I'm the
And
real
whether you're being
in the casket dead guy.
So what people don't realize is when you're being cremated, this is what's left in the machine. What you're seeing here is the bone structure of the human body, and this here. And we see the body exactly the way it is there. And then we take the body from here and we play. Ouch! Just bit my finger. And then, so when we go into the ground and we take somebody out who's been buried for a number of years, let's just say we did one that was buried for 10 years, and we went into the ground and we found exactly this.
Oh, yeah,
Same
came right
thing as
back.
we find in cremation. And basically what we have here, almost exactly what you see here. The clothes sometimes are still on and all shredded like this.
The mummy.
And yeah, kind of a mummy look. So whether you're getting buried or cremated, it's just a personal choice, but the end result is really the same. And some people say, well, I need to be buried because I want to go to heaven. Well, there's nothing in the Bible that says cremation is wrong. Not that I'm pushing cremation, but ashes to ashes, dust to dust. So I think that happens in the cremator also.
All right, so a two-parter here from Elizabeth next. Is it normal not to be invited to a family member's memorial service due to vaccination status 2 years after the fact?
So here's what's
and
happening.
how do I handle this situation, she says, because she's in it.
Vaccines and vaccines that they pushed on us caused a lot of problems amongst families. And some families are still carrying it over 2 years later. So if you didn't get vaccinated and you weren't allowed at their house 2 years ago, more than likely they're not allowing you at their house still today, which is really sad. And how do we deal with something like that? I think the best way to deal with something like that is just forgive. And once you forgive, you take the burden off of your shoulders and you pass the burden back to the other person. Obviously, they hold something in their hearts and they need to let go of it. And every family member should be together, and especially after a death in a family, you figure that's when you'd want family to join together, be together, love each other, forgive whatever went on in the past, and just start a new beginning. And if a family can't do that, that is their problem. And you need to pass that ball back to them and let them hold it and realize one day that they should have allowed you to come to the funeral and they should have allowed you to be part of the family because you are part of the family. And COVID, if you haven't realized by now, was the biggest lie ever told to us in the history of life. And it continues to be. And more evidence is coming out. But yet, when you talk to people, they still don't believe it. They still say, you don't know what you're talking about, Mike. COVID killed a lot of people. Yes, every day people die of the flu. Thousands of people die of the flu. The only difference is you don't hear about it on the news. When is the last time you heard on the news that an 80-year-old died in a care home? Or a 90-year-old died in a care home? Oh, wait, 5 people died in one care home in one night. Well, let me tell you something, folks. That is totally normal. That is part of life. That's what happens. You get older, you get sick. If you're in a care home, it's almost like a waiting room to die because you're in there for a reason. So take that for how you want to take it. But Cheryl, put that burden...
Elizabeth,
put that burden back on your family's court and let them deal with it because it's not your problem.
You were a DJ for many, many years. You know, what was the most common song played when you were a DJ compared to what you have to do now as a funeral director? Like, there's got to be a favorite song in the funeral business, too.
Oh, there was
Moni Moni, and then there was
Moni
Old Time
Moni.
Rock and Roll.
You took that right out of my mouth. You know, old time rock and roll. Michael Jackson was really good on a dance floor. There was so many. Madonna, Holiday.
Alabama. Play That Mountain Music.
Yeah, Play That Mountain Music.
Charlie Daniels Band.
And remember,
Devil
there
Went
was
Down to
polkas
Georgia.
back when I was a DJ, too.
Yeah, that's right. There was a lot of
She's too
polka.
fat for me. Hey! But you can't say that anymore because
no,
it's wrong.
Well, it is wrong.
But I think the question asks next, what's the most played song at a funeral? We played it at my brother's funeral too. Frank Sinatra. I Did It My Way.
Born to Be Alive.
Remember Gene the Dancing Machine?
I do.
Brad and I used to DJ together, believe it or not, years ago.
Many years
ago.
ago.
When we played in the bar scene.
Some of you may have seen us around town.
Yeah. We were everywhere. Cotton Eye Joe, Mary says. Amazing Grace, another song.
I want you to use Carry On Wayward Son.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a great song to go out with.
So I wonder, what's your song? If you were to die, what song would you tell your family to play at your funeral? Remember, you could play about 3 of them usually, and sometimes a song during a video.
Okay, so how can you assure that the cremated remains we're receiving as a family belong to our loved ones? Sharon wants to know.
So Sharon, big
Could you
question.
make that mistake?
What mistake are you talking about?
Give me somebody else's remains.
No, that would never happen at Voyage. What you want to do is use a funeral home that owns and operates a crematorium. First question you should ask, and you know what, I'm almost getting sick of this. Some people say, their mom dies, their dad dies, and you say, well, at Voyage, we own and operate our own crematorium. Your loved one is in our care 100% of the time. And people say, well, I don't care. They're dead. And that drives me crazy because it's somebody's mom or dad, and I truly believe that everyone deserves care, compassion, respect right to the end. Use a funeral home that owns and operates a crematorium. Don't go to one of these storefront businesses that lie to you. And on Halloween, we're going to show you. I got video and I got pictures of something you need to see. And this was a funeral home that closed down, and I want to show you that night because it is spooky looking. What happens when you use an unprofessional funeral service?
And that can happen, right, in this city?
I'm all out of love. I'm so lost without you.
Okay, so who selects the clergy for a funeral or memorial service?
So clergy is selected by the family. So we always tell people, if you have a pastor or a priest or somebody who's a good friend that you want to officiate at the service, you could do that. But then we have options available. So we have some really, really good pastors, priests, and clergy that we use who've done thousands of funerals. And they're going to do a great job for you. Some people bring in pastors, for example, that have never done a funeral service. And then it destroys their celebration of life. And a funeral service shouldn't be only about religion.
No, that's right.
It should be about that person's life. That's why you're celebrating somebody's life. Talk about the things that you did together. Talk about what made you laugh or what made you cry. The special things that you did with that person. Tell them about that person's life and how he lived it. And that's what a celebration of life really is. And nobody should ever tell you, no funeral director should ever tell you that you have to do it this way. Wrong.
Some people do it through videos. Some people do it through pictures.
Yeah.
Some people do it through
And
music.
Brad's been working at the funeral home now for quite a while, helping me out.
Sure
and
have.
today he actually did a funeral service on his own.
There you go. Funeral director.
Mike wasn't
part
there.
2.
Mike was somewhere else, but Brad did it all on his own, and he's doing a great job.
I had Josh with me, and I got to
Yeah.
say that if it wasn't for Josh, it might not have been Brad by himself. So
You know what?
You keep saying that, but that's not true, man. I had your mom there. I had Josh there. I had
How about Angelo the
Angelo,
Italian?
yeah, Angelo the Italian.
Angelo the
was there.
Italian
He was
was
showing
there.
me how he
He's
cooks
got the
it.
Italian suit on.
He buys these jumbo T-bones, man, and he cooks them straight up in the air like this on the grill, so that the bone is resting on the grill and the steak is standing straight up. Man, he cooks a great looking steak. I tell you what, forget the bugs. I want to eat some of his steak.
I think Angelo's lying to you just a little bit.
No, you had lots of pictures. I
Was he?
saw it.
Pictures?
Yeah, no,
wow.
it was good.
Cooking a steak upside down.
Absolutely. No, we're straight up and down.
Straight up and down.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Okay, Kevin wants to know, I watch your show often.
Hang on a sec.
Okay,
Let me just go
what?
through some of these here and
What do you
read
got?
some of these before we do that. Hello from Southeast Saskatchewan. I just want to see some of the songs. Good evening, Mike and Brad. Never mind. I love this song. I sang Air Supply. In the Garden, another good song. Dust in the Wind. All you eyes, dust in the wind. Lucky I didn't become a singer. Spirit in the Sky. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I hated that song.
I love that song. Little Wing. I've never heard that song. Against the Wind. Remember the Against the Wind? Have you ever heard that?
Probably.
Good old country boy. Thank God I'm a country boy. Woo!
Cotton Eye Joe. Good old burial song.
All right, let's go into the next question.
Okay. My name is Kevin. I watch your show often. I'm fighting stage 4 cancer to the point where the pain is unbearable. I've been tossing around using MAID. We're sorry to hear that. Unfortunately, he says, I'm struggling with this decision. I don't want to be punished for taking my life. I am lonely and have nobody in my life. With this said, who will make my arrangements? I want to be cremated and scattered in my favorite fishing spot. Although I have lost touch with most of my friends, I have no one to do this for me. Do you have any suggestions? Please keep up the great work. Love what you and Brad do every Wednesday night. Looking forward to hearing the answer to my question on your next show tonight, Kevin.
Well, Kevin, hopefully you're watching. First of all, if you're asking for my opinion on MAID, it's hard for me to give an opinion because sometimes you're in so much pain, like you say, but let God take you home when it's time. That's my opinion. And as far as making funeral arrangements, Kevin, come down to the funeral home and ask for me myself. Or I'll come to your house and see you, or if you're in a hospital, whatever the case may be, and I will help you put a will together, and we'll help send your assets where you want them to go, and we will help do the cremation for you. And I promise you that I personally will scatter your cremated remains at a fishing spot.
The one he wants.
Any fishing spot you want. I'll go fishing for the day, have some fun, maybe tell me what your favorite music is. We'll play some music in the background on the boat, on the pontoon, and then we'll scatter your cremated remains. So, Kevin, no need to worry. We will take care of that for you. Just come and see me, or I'll come and see you, and we'll make things good for you. It sounds like you got quite the burden on your shoulders, and you probably have a lot of friends. Just sometimes we grow apart, like Brad and I grew apart from each other for a lot of years until we finally ran into each other again. And sometimes you think that you're all alone in this world, but really, there's a lot of people that love you and a lot of people that probably think about you. They just haven't seen you for a little while, so we disconnect. But sometimes, if you only saw the love, like my brother Kyriakis, almost going to put me in tears here, but my brother Kyriakis, only if he knew how many people loved him and how many people showed up to his funeral service and how many people showed up to prayers and the candlelight service. It was just incredibly touching. But show people how much you care for them while they're alive. You know, call them, say hello, tell them you love them, give them hugs, take them out for coffee, stop by, go visit people in the care homes or hospitals. Show people that they're loved and they're not alone.
Absolutely. We're running out of time, Mike, but maybe one more question for tonight. It's one part, maybe a two-parter. It's coming from Judy. My best friend's mother died this week. I wanted to recommend your funeral home, but didn't know how to end up doing that or even paying $7,000 for a simple cremation. Do you mind me asking what your cost is? And how does somebody recommend your services without offending the deceased family's member or the deceased family?
So it's hard. A lot of people ask me that question. They go, hey, how do I recommend Voyage? You know, I know somebody who's dying, who's sick. My best friend's dad's going to die. And I'm just afraid that they'd get offended if I said, hey, I know a guy who does funerals and maybe you should go see him. But that's exactly what you should do. You should say, maybe call a few people. I can recommend you call, Mike from Voyage Funeral Home. Just call and compare pricing and compare services, apples to apples, and see what they could do for you. Sometimes it's actually a good thing. There's so many people who've phoned me or phoned the funeral home and said, hey, thank you so much for taking care of that family that I sent over to you. I could guarantee you that if you send a family over to Voyage, they're going to get 100% care, compassion, love, understanding, and we will take care of them and take care of their every need to the best of our ability.
Absolutely. You do that with everybody. I've witnessed it myself every time I go to work.
I love it. I love being a funeral director. I love, what's Guardian Angel saying? As a 5-time cancer survivor, I can tell you people do not come around. You should hear the excuses. Get strong and prepared to go to the journey by yourself. And you know what? I'm going to have to agree with that because even after death, this is a really important thing to realize. So you lose a loved one, and people at the funeral are always hugging you and kissing you and telling you how much they love you, and they're going to come over to your place and have coffee with you. They're going to take you out for lunch. They're going to come and spend time with you. They're going to call you. That happens for the first week, maybe 2 weeks, and then everyone forgets about you. And then you go through the journey all by yourself, and it is terrible. And I remember my mom, people saying to my mom, oh, Helen, we're going to come and see you. We're going to take you out. Sorry for your loss. And then all of a sudden, the phone doesn't ring. I wonder what happened to prayers and hugs to Kevin. I wonder what happened to Kevin. Maybe somebody could put that in the comments so we could see. In the meantime, go to the next question. We'll do a couple more. There's one Christina asked, which is really a good question. She asked about pacemakers.
Yeah, is it true that you can donate a pacemaker to an animal?
So I had to check this out because we have a whole whack of pacemakers. So every time you do a cremation, you need to take the pacemaker out from that individual because the pacemaker will explode in the retard, which is the crematorium. And so we need to remove each one. And no, it's not a surgical procedure. And some funeral homes will charge you $300 or $400 to take out a pacemaker. It literally takes me under a minute to take out a pacemaker. Mike McIver, who's a pro at it, could probably take one out in less time than I can. But we have all those pacemakers sitting in a certain area, and there's lots of them. But I just found out that you can donate pacemakers to animals, to dogs or cats, and it's a surgical procedure, obviously. It cuts down the costs. We recirculate it, so it's not going into waste grounds. So now what we're going to do is take a bunch of these pacemakers that we have, and we're going to donate it to animals who need pacemakers. What a great thing. I didn't even know about that. So Christina, thank you for bringing that to my attention. It's amazing that you can actually reuse a pacemaker.
That's incredible, to be honest.
It's incredible.
Who would have thought, right?
You could keep a dog alive or a cat alive or an animal alive. And in this day and age, if you can recirculate things, why not? We saw a lot of viewers, so we can go on to some more questions because they're hanging in there with us.
They're staying along tonight, up for the ride. All
They
right.
like us. Oh, Mike, you nice guy. I like you. You nice guy.
Okay, show's getting weird now. Mike might
My
be
prayers go
getting
out
tired.
to Kevin. So, still don't know what happened to Kevin. Is it Kevin?
Yeah, it was Kevin who had stage 4 cancer and wanted to possibly commit MAID, but
Oh,
you know, I
Kevin,
think,
that Kevin. Yeah, I'm gonna talk with Kevin. I'm gonna go spend some time with Kevin, and tell him, help him make the right decision, because when God calls you home, He calls you home, and I think that's the time when you leave this earth. And I know some people will disagree with me and say, I know people that have, certain diseases or sicknesses should be able to leave this world whenever they want.
Now, Mike, do you believe before blood is donated that people should let the donor clinic know if they are vaxxed, and that non-vaxxed should be allowed to know what blood they are actually being given if needed? Like if you're in the hospital or get into a car accident, need blood, are they giving me vaccinated blood or unvaccinated blood?
So
Val wants to know.
So, I think that would make a huge difference, right? Because clearly as a mortician, we've seen that in vaccinated bodies, there's certain clots that have come up, and people are talking about them, including doctors. So it is happening. So would you want vaccinated blood or unvaccinated blood? If you were in a hospital and you're not vaccinated, would you prefer to get unvaccinated blood? So yeah, I think it's a good question for them to ask. Will they ask that question? Will they go against the narrative and say, were you vaccinated or non-vaccinated? I don't think they would do that. Jeez. Great topic tonight, Mike and Brad. Shelley Smith says, everyone's saying night, everyone. We have a whole whack of questions. Maybe we'll go with one more.
One more. Okay, we'll go back here. We've got to go back a little ways here. Crystal says, do you think at one point morticians and funeral directors will be asked to perform the duties related to the MAID program? If so, would you use a funeral director? Would you as a funeral director take on these duties?
Yeah,
would you take on those duties, Crystal?
So if they ever asked us, or myself anyways, or Voyage Funeral Home, if we would inject a person as part of the MAID program and take their lives, I would 100% say no matter how much money was given to me, no much money was offered to the company. I would never put that blood in my hands, because you may as well give me a shotgun and commit murder. That's just my opinion. Again, some people have different opinions, and I want you to know, as a funeral director, we respect what you want to do, and we can't tell you what to do. So if you're part of the MAID program, so be it. But would I inject you with the lethal dose of 3 shots? That's what it takes. First shot, put you in a dozy mood as if you're drunk. Second shot, puts you in a coma, so you don't know what's going on. And the third shot shuts off your heart. And then this happens. So that's the way it works. I would not take part in that at all. We thank you for joining us on Ask the Funeral Director tonight. Before you leave, please like, share, and follow the show. Don't forget, keep this in mind. Put it on your calendar. December 24th. That's Christmas Eve. We need as much help as we can get. On the next show, we're going to give out phone numbers and people that can help us organize what toys go to what families, how much food a family needs, because we want to do this from our hearts. And again, this is on behalf of Kyriakis and keeping his memory alive and the good deed that he did, because it is a great deed. And write this down on your calendar. January 24th, we're going to stand up and fight against crime. We're going to fight against the catch and release program and the rotating doors at the Law Courts building. Put that in your calendars. Join us. It's going to be in the Cork and Flame parking lot in honor of my brother who died on that date, January 24th, 2020. Isn't it funny? We're doing two things on the 24th. So we're doing a Christmas celebration on the 24th and then January 24th, that big event. So God bless you and your families. Thank you for tuning in. Take care of yourselves and each other. Thank you, Brad, for a great show. And for our friend here,
Dusty.
Dusty. Kevin gave us that name, Dusty. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.